on our mind for a long time in many different ways. And throughout this work, John and Sheila have been leading. And there's lots of things people do in the church, you know, whether it's sing or cook, that people see. But one of the things when you're doing work behind the scenes, you don't get to see the phone calls and emails and hard work they've been doing on your behalf to say, what are we going to do with the annex space? And we know the annex space is in need of repair. At the very beginning of COVID, I said to the community, hey, church is closed, let's fix our annex. So that's 3.5 years ago. And for lots of reasons, it went up and down and on and off, but we feel now that we have a good proposal, and we will speak about the proposal and the finances that have been raised thus far, as well as I will commit to working with anybody in this room and community who wants to be a smaller team who's going to do a campaign to let people who haven't had a chance to give. We have lots of resources, but we have yet to ask everyone who would like to contribute. And so I will be taking that on the coming weeks. So I'm going to get out of the way and invite these two folks who know way more than me to share their news, and then I want to chime in a little bit later. So Sheila Wappel-McLean and John Buller, will you thank them as they come forward?
Good morning. First rule broken. Yesterday it was 11 o'clock. Good morning, everyone. The renovation team made up of Sheila Wappel-McLean, Jim Wilson, our architect Simon Fernandez, and myself, John Buller, has been working diligently behind the scenes on the plans for the new renovation, and long awaited. Our goals over the last few months have been to bring to the church this morning a kitchen-only project that is doable in 2024 at a cost that fits within the funds presently available in the renovation account of approximately $720,000 and allows us to move seamlessly into the next phases of the project once we have more funds to proceed further. What we have to show so far in the overall project is not insignificant. We have a working handicap elevator. We have improvements to the exterior concrete work on the stairs and the sidewalks between the stairs. We have a repainted and more attractive annex street front and back exterior. We have design and technical drawings completed to develop all phases once the funds are available. And we have a building permit for those drawings which represent all interior work. And yes, we do have an empty space where the old kitchen was, but that tear out that was done 2 years ago eliminated the fire and asbestos hazard. And we want to fill that empty space as soon as possible with a new kitchen. So Sheila and I are here this morning to tell you where the renovation plans were at and where they are today and what we can do this year in 2024.
Thank you. Oh, no, I need the picture of the bear. This is a picture that we have in our house, and it says, "Don't look back, you aren't going that way." We look at it quite often. But even though we don't want to look back, in order to put some context to our presentation, here's a quick review of how the project has evolved over the last 3 to 4 years. In September of 2020, an architect was engaged to design the church project, which included, at that time, upgrades to the kitchen, washrooms, gym, front entry, and the north facade exterior. At this point, the new kitchen was to be a warming kitchen. Ryan Murphy Construction was hired to assist with the preliminary pricing of the project, and architectural and consultant drawings proceeded, and a development permit was applied for and was approved. Then in September of 2021, the architect had completed the working drawings for costing by Ryan Murphy. And at this point, the kitchen was still a warming kitchen. The project was estimated at $1.65 million. Construction costs had increased due to world events and COVID, and the project was put on hold at that time, expecting that prices would stabilize in the near future. Then in May of 2022, we decided that we would create a three-phased project to be able to complete some of the work. The first phase would be the kitchen upgrade with a warming kitchen using higher-end residential appliances, the exterior lift, and the playground work. And that was estimated at $325,000. And the second phase would be the washrooms upgraded for extended capacity and to be gender neutral. The lobby upgrades and the gym upgrades, and that phase was estimated at about $1.3 million. And then the third phase was to be the new windows and some work on the exterior north facade of the annex, again estimated at about $420,000. And the total of these three projects would be just over $2 million. It was decided then, in May of 2022, that we would proceed with phase 1 and 2 only and complete phase 3 when funds were available. In October of 2022, a building permit was applied for the exterior lift on the east side of the building, and the kitchen is demolished to determine the extent of asbestos and for a closer review of the existing mechanical and electrical systems, which the concern was they were at their end of life. So then, that was in October. Then in December, the decision was made by the church to build a commercial kitchen. This would allow for greater revenue streams in the future and expanded event planning. This required a budget increase, and designs and equipment purchases for this commercial kitchen proceeded in January of 2023. Then in March of 2023, the City of Calgary, I get to do all the bad news, eh?
The news is coming.
I know, the good news is coming. In March of 2023, the City of Calgary refused to approve the enclosed exterior lift as it was designed, and the drawings were not complete for the interior work. The architect resigned, and then in May of 2023, we hired a new architect, but they had to redraw the entire interior project and apply for a building permit for all the interior work. Again, this is good news. From May to November, the exterior lift was redesigned to go on the west side of the church, and a building permit was received, and the lift was built and is now operational. And now John gets to tell you the good news.
Oh, that's not what we said.
I know I get to ad-lib a bit.
Let me get to my part here again. So now for our present situation, in November of 2023, we received the building permit for the renovation of all interior work, including the kitchen, the new washrooms, front entry, and the annex event space itself. But funds presently available are approximately $720,000. So in order to move forward with the entire project, additional fundraising will be required. But realizing the importance for the church to have a long-awaited functioning kitchen, the team is excited to move forward with a phase 1 project in the next few months, which will consist only of the commercial kitchen and aesthetic improvements to the annex space. No new washrooms as of yet, and only mechanical and electrical changes that are necessary for the kitchen to operate. All the kitchen appliances are here in Calgary and ready to be installed, and cabinetry is ready to be ordered now. With the available funds, this phase would be completed in 2024. Now, along with our architect and our contractor, Ryan Murphy Construction, we are of the opinion that phase 1 is doable and affordable with the funds in hand of approximately $720,000 and can be completed before the end of the year. Since the approved building permit is for the kitchen and phase 2 new washrooms and a newly designed front entrance, we hope to commence construction in the next few months. Thankfully, the city is allowing a phased building permit, which allows this staged approach. Sheila?
And then we're going to look at some of the floor plans here. This is what we're planning to do right now. This shaded area shows the kitchen. You can see that the rest of the building with the washrooms and everything is existing. The hope is to do that in the near future, but right now we're going to focus on the kitchen. We're going to put a new floor in the gym, and we're going to paint the gym to make it look better and hopefully do some aesthetic work in the front entrance in this first phase within that budget of $720,000. Then the second phase shows this area. You can see that the washrooms potentially would be redesigned to be gender neutral, and there would be more fixtures than we have presently. We would do more work in the gym with lighting and extend the kitchen into the gym for added freezer and fridge areas for potential event rentals, and also do some more work in the front entrance. But this is the plan for phase 2. And then the last slide shows the architect's concept of what potentially the front entrance would look like. And now, if we have any questions?
I'll just
You wanna
read this.
add?
Yeah, we just want to read. It's not a motion because this is not a congregational meeting, but it is a statement of agreement that the Hillhurst United Church congregation, those people that are here, would approve phase 1 construction as presented here this morning, consisting of the commercial kitchen and various improvements to the annex space, including a new floor and painting of the interior. The cost of phase 1 will be approximately the amount in the renovation fund of $720,000. And we'll take your questions now.
I just wanted a little clarification. Can you go back to the last slide? The one before that. Yeah, so there's the kitchen, and then in between the phase 2 restroom work, there's 2 restrooms there. One's a shower and one's a bigger room, bigger capacity restroom. Were those included in the kitchen? It looked like they were missing from the kitchen.
Good pickup, because I noticed that shading should have extended down to, the pink should include
okay,
the washroom and the shower.
So that is going to happen in phase 2?
In phase 2.
Great, thanks.
Am I correct in understanding that the kitchen plans have moved from being a warming kitchen then to a full commercial kitchen with the expanded capacities? So that makes up the difference in the value between the old budget of the kitchen around the $300,000 to more of now what we're seeing as a higher dollar value. Is that correct?
Yes, the value of the equipment on its own is probably twice what it was, but again, it gives you a lot more, like we have a combi oven and a lot more capacity to even entice outside people to come in and utilize the kitchen and caterers, and
Okay.
and you can cook.
My second question is what time frame is the city allowing us to complete all phases of the building project, or is there a time frame around their approval of the completed building permit?
There's some vagueness about that, but the city generally allows 2 years, something like that. There's no fixed period. At this point, our architect assures us that the city is cooperating, and they're glad to give us a phased building permit.
Building permit's valid for 1 year, and then you can apply to have an extension.
And our conversation with the contractor about phase 1 is that they have everything they need. There's still a little research being done on electrical and mechanical work, but they're prepared to start in April, and it'll be done through the summer.
At one time, there was discussion about taking that stairwell upstairs away and doing something new with the offices above the gymnasium. Is that now kiboshed, or is that in a future session?
I think that's kiboshed, yeah.
It just wasn't affordable.
Could you repeat again what phase 1 is versus phase 2? And could you, in that process, throw up that graphic of the happy people walking up and down the stair?
You want the picture of the happy people again?
Yeah, I like the happy, there, that's the happy people.
Okay. No, yes, that's right, yeah. Phase 2, along with the washrooms. Phase 2, just to clarify, includes the bulk of the systems work. Okay, the plumbing and the electrical, and that's where the big money is.
What is the generally recognized definition of a full commercial kitchen?
A full commercial kitchen allows us to have people to rent the space to have events. We have all of the necessary, we're meeting all of the necessary requirements for a full commercial kitchen, which allows us to feed, to cook in the kitchen. We have all the fire suppression systems. It's almost like a kitchen at Earl's. It has the proper ventilation, makeup air unit. Yes. Thank you for that clarification.
Just a suggestion, it's a while before we get to the washrooms. Our washrooms that we currently have are really not very nice. So I would like to see us replace, and this wouldn't be very expensive, but at least replace the toilets and sinks in the meantime so we have a presentable washroom.
Yes, we were talking about that actually.
That's not a whole bunch of money.
No,
and it would
a couple of
certainly
days
improve
ago, and we are looking at that.
it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi again. Phase 1, presumably, is it some sort of cost time range that's pretty well defined, right? Plus minus 10%, is that right?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the last part.
Your cost and time estimate for phase 1 is going to be probably at that plus minus 10%. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
We have not been able to finalize the price. We'll probably have it in a couple of weeks, but it will be within the range of 720.
Okay. And then phase 2, what would be the plus minus on your estimates at this time?
2.2 million minus the cost of what we already have. So in other words, the fundraising that we need. Yeah.
So that is that 1.5 plus or minus 35%, 20%, 10%? Do you do it that way?
That's difficult for us to do without final plans. We will carry a contingency, yes.
Okay, sorry to take time. So on that phase 2, is there scope at this time to look at the phase 2 and make adjustments?
Yes, for sure.
And given that that is a yes, when might you envisage that envisioning could be done?
Well, we come to the key point, and that is we need to raise more funds. All we have is 720,000 at this point.
In phase 2, is the stage still part of the gym, or is the stage gone?
Stage is gone, right?
The plan is to take the stage out.
Okay.
Originally, we were going to change it into meeting rooms, but it looks like it'd be more valuable to be part of the gym.
Okay, and what are those two rooms at the very bottom of that stage 2? Are those meeting rooms?
At the very bottom,
Yep.
the first one closest to the kitchen is an area that would be part of the kitchen, but it allows us with additional freezers and fridges in case you're using outside people who want to rent the kitchen. And the space beside that is a room for storing chairs and tables.
So there's no new meeting space there at all?
Not in this plan.
One of the words I haven't heard so far is heating. I assume that was included when you said mechanical. What are we talking? Are we talking heating, ventilation, air conditioning? Are we talking an external unit? Are we talking replacing the furnaces? Where are we at?
If you look at this plan, and in order to achieve this plan, we have to tear out the existing washrooms and the existing furnace room, which of course you're familiar with. And then to provide heat and cooling to the building, there would be a large unit, again, just below this area I talked about that were freezers. It would be in the back alley. It would be a big unit that would handle air, heat, and cooling. And that's where it gets very expensive. Yes.
And that would also include a new transformer from NMAX. And that's very costly.
So I don't normally talk at these meetings because it's Congregation's church, but I just want to say a couple of things. One is I want to thank you and your team for being part of this for so long through highs and lows. It's hard work and it's not upfront, and you've been very patient. The thing I've noticed is that, and this sort of dawned on me a little while ago, is that COVID changed many things. And one of the things that changed is how we use our buildings, okay? So we need to think about how our building is used and will be used. We won't probably use it the way we used to, because not much is going back. It's going forward. And so this plan allows us to do some of the things we know we want to do that are important. One is eat together. And if you show up on a Wednesday night, you'll be reminded at Living Spirit how important it is to eat together. After this service, pre-COVID, we would have 125 people having lunch together. We haven't done that for years. And it's so great to be able to have a space and a way to eat together. And this plan allows us to do that as a church. It also allows us, many people are waiting for us to continue our outreach to those who don't have food during the week. We might want to create spaces to provide that kind of outreach, which is a signature aspect of this church. So getting the kitchen done really matters, and getting it done well. The second thing that makes me a little bit excited is this thought, which I shared with these two folks the other day. When they built this gym 65 years ago, what did the city need? A gym. Why? Because everybody needed community space and basketball. In 2024, what do people want? They want to play pickleball. And I have been thinking about how we might make that gym with a new floor a space that is open for this community who wants to play, but also have that space rentable to the city, which they will grab so that we can be part of the pickleball community. Now, you may say pickleball is stupid, fair enough. I think it is touching into health of people of all ages, and we have a gym that sits empty and has for 3 years. We can easily get that space available so people can use it. And so, yes, we can go to phase 2, and I'm not convinced at this point that we could and should try to raise several $1 million when we're living in the space right now that we are living in and the people right now. Last thing I want to say is, our online community is huge. By the end of the week, 400 people will have looked at this service. That ignores the 225 who are here today and the other 80 who are online. We have to get it in our head, and we don't know it yet, what that means. What does it mean to have an online church? We've got to do the work on that. We have to think about how are we building connections with people who physically are not here. And that's going to be a growth aspect of this church. Most churches are forgetting that, but this church isn't, and we are a lifeline that could grow. And so how we use the building, we really got to think about. And so shrinking it doesn't mean we're losers and we can't do it. It's actually saying, no, perhaps we're being wise and attentive to who we are right now, aware that that might change. And so I think I would just want to say that I support the work you've done, and I do think getting us eating together and having that gym in a way that looks presentable and the bathrooms redone simply allows us to use this building again in an effective way. And so, I support that. Last thing I want to say is I haven't given any money, and I want to. And I want a small team who are going to do a short campaign to invite people like me who haven't contributed to contribute. Because the $720,000 is a few years old. There are people in the community and online who want to contribute. And we need to do a small campaign maybe it'll be a big campaign, who knows, to raise some funds and say we're all in this. We're not just spending what's in the bank. So it will invite us and invigorate us to be who we want to be as we step forward. That's what I think.
In terms of the redoing the front entrance area, that's presently perceived as just the interior part, not a new
That is
building
correct.
facade
It's
front.
just the
Yeah.
interior.
Yeah,
The building
so-
permit does not address the outside facade.
Yeah, okay, thanks. It'd be nice to find some community partner who wants to use our space and would be willing to invest in a really nice front.
Yes, it would be.
I'm sure you've learned many, many things through this process. I'm sure you've learned a lot. And I think we are probably learning too. And I imagine that in phase 2, before we go and nail down that, we might want to take those learnings and apply them to how phase 2 might then be conducted. I hope that's something that we'll do. Thanks.
That's a helpful comment. Thank you.
My background is I was a commercial interior designer, and we had a saying in the business, buildings are static and people are dynamic. So there's always new ideas, and you always have to kind of take a look, and then at some point you go, okay, no, we have enough ideas, we're going to build this.
And that's where we're at with phase 1.
I was curious. It sounded like you were saying that you were hoping that having a commercial kitchen was going to become a potential, maybe an income stream. I remember a couple congregational meetings ago, the phrase ghost kitchen was applied to the commercial kitchen. I know absolutely nothing about how all that works, but when would be the time to start investigating how to advertise or reach out to people who might be interested in using the space for things like that? Because income is good, obviously.
We do have a guru. We have a kitchen guru. His name is Guru. And he was part of our team for a short time. And his time was not yet. And he is a person that coordinates events and can bring weddings to the church and that sort of thing. We already do have weddings in this part of the church, but right now, of course, we don't have the facilities for having a reception, and we will have those facilities this year. So Guru is part of our future planning, and we will be back in conversation with him. And there's a lot of potential revenue in that.
Can I just suggest you take 1 minute and talk to people near you and say, what are you hearing? What are you thinking about? Because we don't want this to be one way. Just the people near you. How are you doing? What are you thinking about on this? 1 minute.
I did have a statement of agreement that we would love to have you agree to, if that's what you're saying. Oh, okay, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that part. It is 11:38, time for lunch. So we'd like to bring, I know, we're breaking the rules, as John suggested. Jim?
From our group, one question we had was, at the end of phase one, will the kitchen be fully operational?
Aha. That's a good question. We think it will be, but we don't know for sure in terms of all of the appliances, but it will be operational as far as it can be. And that's because we don't know, and we're actually monitoring it this week. There's a monitoring device on our electrical system to see how much the church draws over a whole week period, including the services today. And that will tell us whether or not we need to upgrade the kitchen sub-panel, which is only 50 amps, whether that would be enough for all of the appliances. So that's still up in the air.
Okay.
If that's an answer for you?
Yep,
Okay.
it is. It sounds like it's a slightly...
It will be a usable kitchen, no question.
It'll be a usable kitchen.
Yeah.
But, the other question that came up in our group was coats. Will there be a place to hang coats in the winter, particularly? Which may never come again from the looks of things, but...
Yes, there is now.
A coat rack?
Great coat rack. It's also a bike rack.
Ooh, got to have a bike rack. How about for hearing aids? Is there one?
I'm going to buy several pairs.
What's there any other questions?
So we're not getting into the micro detail, but yes, we're taking care of places for people to hang coats just like we have.
Okay, can we have a show of hands in terms of agreement? And the statement that we would like to have agreement on is that the Hillhurst United Church Congregation approves phase one construction as presented here this morning, consisting of the commercial kitchen and various improvements to the annex space, including a new floor, hopefully usable for pickleball. And the cost of this phase one would be within the funds that we have of approximately $720,000. Thank you. Looks almost unanimous. That's wonderful encouragement for us to move on. Thank you.
Okay, and I just want to say thank you to you and your team. Again, this is hard work and lots of phone calls, lots of meetings, lots of questions. Thank you for your leadership. And thank you all for taking time here. We're saying yes to move forward, and we will be in touch with you as we do. So thank you very much for being part of the discussion. Have a great day.